Hello everyone, welcome back to the studio. I've got a very special guest with me today. It's Mr. Nate Lopez in from California.
Hey everybody, how you doing?
So I first met Nate in 2022. I filmed him for the Blue Guitars collection, the Archtop Foundation, at the Rocky Mountain Archtop Festival in Arvada, Colorado. This was right at the end of the weekend. I had no idea who was going to walk through that door at any point during the weekend, and right at the end, I got to film Nate on a Theo Sharpak guitar and also the Zeidler instrument. And you just sounded fantastic, man. It was such a pleasure. I've been following you for years, obviously, like one does. You sort of float in people's spheres on social media.
Right.
And just the chance to hear you play was wonderful, especially on those guitars. So welcome.
Oh, thank you so much.
It's great to have
beautiful place here. Man, I can't believe just got a chance to walk in the countryside. Thoroughly inspiring, and it's always great. I'm so glad we get a chance to hook up here while I'm out here in England. So
Me too, man. Me too. Now, there's a lot that I want to talk to you about, Nate. In particular, the style that you play, I find particularly fascinating because my understanding is that you come from a jazz background.
Sure.
And you're using a lot of that sort of methodology and vocabulary to essentially redefine pop songs.
Sure.
Which I guess is what was happening with the old jazz standards anyway.
That's my whole point. It's very interesting when I go to these different jazz festivals and I'm playing there. And yeah, I play jazz, but I think the word jazz is just an enormous genre, maybe bigger than any other genre. And country is definitely a huge genre, and so many other things, rap, hip hop. But in jazz, you can mean anything from Benny Goodman to Miles Davis to Al Di Meola. I mean, anything, all over the place, and more. So I find it very interesting when we go to these jazz festivals that just says jazz, and everybody's playing music kind of up to the 60s. And I don't really understand why that is. You look at artists like Miles Davis, who I always am fascinated with. He never looked back, and he continued to play whatever was happening at the time. He's playing tunes that were popular at the time. When he's going in the 80s, he's playing tunes from Cyndi Lauper, he's playing tunes from Michael Jackson. Yes. He's just continuing to evolve. So why doesn't everybody do that? So my style comes both in both directions. For one, really the way it started was, okay, cool, I'm going to play jazz, I'm going to learn these jazz standards, I'm going to go out and play some clubs, and I'm going to have a good time, I'm going to get applause, I'm going to get that feedback with the audience,
always
maybe get some tips, all that kind of stuff. But I would do this, and I'd play these standards, and I would be playing kind of to one or two tables in the room, and then I'd play a Beatles tune, and all of a sudden everyone's engaging.
Right.
So I'm like, oh, okay, well, maybe I need to play more Beatles and stuff like that. And okay, then as I start to go, maybe I can play a Nirvana tune. Maybe that works. Maybe I can play a Metallica tune. Maybe I can play, whatever. And I don't see why we have to stop the standards at a certain era. I think it's kind of our job to, if we want to continue to have jazz be relevant and interesting. I don't always love the word relevant, but interesting to the new generations. I think we need to continue to be adding things in. Add in some Britney Spears. Add in some Daft Punk. Because if it's a good song, it's a good song.
Right.
There are some songs that are very lyric driven, and if you try and do that instrumentally, I can't personally do it always. But a lot of tunes, like a lot of the tunes I mentioned, you could play a Nirvana tune in a variety of different ways, and continue to catch someone's ear. So I really think it's our responsibility to continue to add to that repertoire.
Well, that's as good a place to start as any. Hit us with some Nirvana. Show us what you mean.
All right, sure. Why not? Let's see here.
ladies and gentlemen, is the Seattle Sound.
There you go. That's right.
When we were in Arvada, you played a beautiful version of Cantaloupe Island. I'd love to hear that.
Oh, okay,
Nate,
sure. I love that tune.
I'm just basically, you've got to understand, Nate is heavily jet lagged. He arrived in the UK like yesterday.
Yeah, yesterday. I ate 2 breakfasts, 2 dinners, 2 lunches in the same day. I'm still trying to figure out how that worked out. But
he's on the Hobbit diet at the moment. You've got to understand, this is an uncaffeinated brother at the moment, so I'm just going to be flinging ideas at him. It's a real sort of indulgence on my part to get a musician of Nate's caliber here and just pump him for information. We're also going to be talking about the instrument that he's playing, which is fairly mind-bending in and of itself. But first off, a little bit of Cantaloupe Island, if you please.
Yeah, let's see.
Nate, you're on the road at the moment, obviously, moving around a lot, and you have what can only be described as a travelling instrument. It's kind of unorthodox. There's some strange stuff going on here. Carbon fibre?
Yeah, carbon fibre,
Right.
the whole thing.
Okay.
No wood in the whole thing.
So we've seen that sort of thing before from Rain Song, from Lava, from my friends at Emerald Guitars in Ireland. And you've got a couple of those, haven't you?
Yeah, I love Emerald guitars. I'm fortunate they made me a custom 8-string that's real nice. Yeah, great stuff.
Yeah, that's something we also need to talk about. The foray into 8 strings. Right now, you've limited yourself to 6, which is, most abstemious of you. How does this thing work? Because I understand there's a mechanism involved when it comes to travel and folding this thing into separate pieces.
Yeah, it's really smart. Having the fortune to go to places like the NAMM show for over 10 years in a row, and so many other places, I just go around and I check everything out, and I'm just really interested to see what the latest innovation is. And I like to travel a lot, and I don't see any reason not to travel with a guitar. I don't care if you're gigging or not. I mean, you got to go with a guitar. There's a lot of options for that. And Journey has come up with a really interesting thing. Yeah, they have their own kind of mechanism, and it's fast enough to assemble that. From the train ride from London here to Sussex, I was able to assemble it real quick and get some decent practice time in, and done. Like no time at all. Yeah, it's really neat. So it's basically has this little bolt in the back here that you can screw and you can loosen. This is just for securing it so you don't actually accidentally hit the button and pop the neck off while you're playing. Okay,
so there's an ejector seat.
Yes, exactly. And you can eject that right there.
Good God.
Pop that off right there.
Isn't this wise?
Yeah, they do it more than once. So there you go. And this just fits in this tiny little overhead bag that fits in any airline. Super convenient. And like I said, carbon fiber, you don't really worry about a thing. And super easy to reassemble if you want to. You just kind of put it in that slot right there. Snap it in.
Fuck me.
Tighten it down. There you go.
Wow.
And sometimes you're perfectly in tune depending on it. Yes.
These are new nylon strings. So that was never going to work.
Yeah.
I admire your optimism.
The steel strings, I think, actually stay in tune when you snap them back in, which is pretty impressive.
I've seen fully wooden steel string versions of this design. And do they do an electric as well, or is that something?
Yeah, they just started doing electric not too long ago, which is really, the whole headstock comes off, which is interesting. Yeah.
Well, you'd want that, wouldn't you?
Why not, of course. I don't need headstocks anyway. We can get into that later. But yeah, no, it's nice. And there you go. You got yourself a nice little compact machine. It's got a nice little pickup in there, so I'm hoping to get together with a couple of my friends out in London and play some jazz tunes and just sit in. There you go.
So I said that you've limited yourself to 6 strings on this particular instrument.
Yeah.
Your instruments by Tyler Wells, LHT Guitars. Look him up. Superb archtop and electric guitar luthier. I've seen you with some fairly interesting ergonomic designs.
Yeah.
And in particular, at least 2 more strings than is legally viable. What is going on there?
Yeah, so that's what I do probably more than 95% of my gigs, is doing solo 8-string guitar or 8-string guitar with a drummer or maybe with a singer, that kind of thing. And yeah, they're interesting guitars. They're tuned. I always tune them the same thing. We were talking about different tunings earlier. I always tune them the same. I tune them to EAD for 3 bass strings with a separate output to a bass amp, and then ADGBE for 5 guitar strings. And I don't look at that as a drop D tuning at all. That doesn't make sense to my head. In my head, you got a really low E and an ADGBE and then some extra bass strings in the middle. And then you can do, so that way I think you really need 3 bass strings to make it its own instrument. There's very little that you can do on a 3-string bass that you can't do on a 4-string bass. That extra G string is not necessary for the gig. It's useful. I mean, more strings the merrier. But
I see.
Yeah, but you need at least those 3 strings so you can get that octave. And then you have just complete freedom to do whatever you want. And that allows me to play bass and guitar at the same time without any kind of looping or backing tracks and that kind of thing. And I really enjoy that. I think regardless of the instrument that you play, whether it's drum, saxophone, guitar, anything like that, you have to play by yourself a fair amount of the time. So this idea of kind of accompanying yourself a little bit, from being inspired from people like Charlie Bird and Joe Pass, and then classical players as well, the amazing talent to put a symphony on one guitar, with John Williams, Christopher Parkening, that kind of thing, is really impressive. So I really try to do that kind of thing where you're playing a little bit of bass, a little bit of guitar, and then you're accompanying yourself, and it's more fun for you. And then if you have an 8-string, it gives you that kind of depth, and maybe you can make some people dance, which is fun.
Dancing
to
guitar music.
Yeah, well, that's for me, I think everybody wants something different from gigs, and for me, I want that interaction. I want that conversation. And if it's a solo gig, I'm conversing with the audience,
right?
And I want to be playing a couple measures here, and then I want people to be, subconsciously kind of tapping their foot, bobbing their head, moving around. And if I can make it enough of a groove, enough of a pocket for them to get up and dance, then that's a win.
That's a KPI, isn't it?
That's right. There you go.
A lot of what you do involves solo playing, but it also involves improvisation. So what I see is improvisation across perhaps 2, maybe 3 lines simultaneously. How do you approach that? Like, if there's someone who sees this for the first time and goes, I'd love to get into that, but it seems like several boxes that need unlocking at the same time.
Sure.
How do you start? Where do you begin?
Yeah, it's very easy to start. I think just like if you've ever played pool, you can play pool against someone at any level, because you can always make the shots more complicated for yourself. Right. You can always do a double bank shot or whatever you want. So it's the same thing, I think, with putting bass lines and guitar lines at the same time. You can make the bass line as complicated as you want. And I do kind of think of it from the ground up, where you're deciding some sort of bass line, whether it's a steady, 4 on the floor, or something, more complicated, or something like that, You can always do that. And it's not too hard to lay things down on top of that, especially if you're used to a bar chord shaped
Prove
one.
it.
Yeah.
Okay, that was all blues.
Yeah. So you can do the same kind of thing.
What would you do?
Let's see here. Are we in tune?
We soon will be.
Yeah, so that's such an iconic bass line. In some songs, I think it's necessary. I think when you're in arranging a song, you have to decide what parts are important to you. Like whether you're playing, like I play songs from Toto, or I play songs from Michael Jackson, where you've got these keyboard parts, you've got horn parts, drums, vocals. So you have to pare it down and decide what's important to you. And in the case of all blues, I think the bass line is an important aspect. So you start off with that. Catch as much of the bass line as you can while you're improvising. But if you need to play a specific line and play a less important bass line, that's fine, as long as the pocket is there and the groove is still there. But you can still, it doesn't have to be complicated at all. You can just kind of... just kind of holding down one note, and especially if you set up a bass line beforehand and the people know the tune, that's even better. The mind kind of fills in the blank.
Can that be a bit of a trap, though? Because if you've got expectations of melody and bass line and groove, I would imagine that there's going to be someone in the audience who's bopping along happily and then goes, "Oh no, what happened there?" That people will be expecting certain things out of a performance, won't they?
Well, I think the expectation comes more from how we're using recording these days. I mean, everything, even if you've got like a country song with just a singer and guitar, I mean, you still got 30 tracks? You've got it. I can't remember the last time I heard one voice on a recording in a song. I mean, so we're so used to this wall of sound and no space. There's no space in the music.
True.
Space is terrible for radio. Right? If they hear space, then maybe there's nothing on the station. They keep going. So we don't have any space in music whatsoever, at least popular music. So I think that's kind of where that expectation comes from. And I think there's a certain freedom, and you don't have that so much in live music. If you want to hear the recording, if you want to hear whatever, people have access to that, and it's abundant. It's in our pocket. So you've got that. So I think so people don't go to live music to hear music. They can hear music anywhere. They go to live music for an experience. And I think that also gives you a certain freedom to be imperfect, both in not having to fill up this wall of sound constantly, and also not to have to be perfect. You can't know where the lines are if you don't color outside the lines. So you got to color outside those lines and make a little bit of those mistakes, because if you're never willing to make a mistake, then you don't know where the boundaries are. Can
you imagine that, making a mistake in front of an audience? We'd never survive.
No, it's a beautiful thing.
Just lucky it's never happened.
Well, right, yeah, indeed. Yeah, the audience expectation is interesting. So, like you mentioned, I play a lot of pop songs. So when I'm doing that, but I'm not even singing for one, so I'm not giving them lyrics.
Right, yeah.
So right off the bat, I'm not going to give them anywhere close to the radio version of what they're used to hearing. So for me, that's very freeing. Knowing that I can't fully replicate it, not using a looper, not trying to replicate it, gives me a freedom to just break down what is the essence of the song. And then so then I try and think of when I'm arranging a song, I try to whistle or hum. And what part am I singing? You'll be singing your favorite song, and all of a sudden you'll sing the background singer's part, or you'll sing the bass line, do 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 do. And so, okay, these are the important parts of the song to me. So this is what I need to be able to convey that song. So just because I can't do all parts of it doesn't mean I can't convey the essence of the song. And that's really all I'm trying to do is get that part of the song. So you know the song, I'm having fun playing the song, and then I can improvise around it and do kind of whatever I want. And I don't think there's a weight of having that expectation of, oh, you're not playing this part or you're not playing that part. I may even go to the bridge at a certain time. I may even throw, sometimes there's that one part in a song where they only go to the bridge or the second bridge like once.
Right. Yeah,
Maybe I don't think that part's important, and I don't need to throw that in there. I can do whatever I want with it. And then we're back to that freedom of jazz and fun of freedom of being a musician, how you can just kind of take whatever it is that you want from it and do your own interpretation of it.
I totally get that, man.
Yeah.
I mean, for me, arrangement has always been another art form. It's another discipline.
Yeah.
And there are certain people who treat arrangements almost like a photograph. So every single detail has to be there.
Right.
There are others that are more sort of impressionistic, almost abstract painting kind of thing.
Right,
It's
right.
like slap, 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 there you go, sketches of Spain. It's like, okay. And it means that you can bring your own personality to the discipline.
Yes.
And what you said earlier about what appeals to you about the piece of music in question, I think that's absolutely vital, because there's certain parts of different tracks that mean a huge amount to me stylistically.
Right.
But other people might not see them as important.
Sure. Well, and that not only that, but also songs. When I'll be at a jazz club and I'll play a Britney Spears song or a Michael Jackson song, and they'd be like, I thought I hated that song, but I kind of like that.
Right.
And so you can bring. I think there's something beautiful in everything, however you want to do that. So yeah, I think there's a lot of freedom with it, and you can do whatever you want. A lot of I'm quoting someone else, but I can't be as good as Jimi Hendrix. I can't be Jimi Hendrix, but I can be the best me.
Yeah, absolutely.
I can be, and I think everyone should lean into that more and being themselves.
Absolutely,
and give what you can, and it is what it is. So
show us some cool chords, Nate.
Okay, cool. Yeah, so I actually came from playing bass for about 10, 15 years before I even touched the guitar. Yeah. I'm idolizing Les Claypool, I'm idolizing Geezer Butler and Cliff Burton and all that stuff. Oh yeah, absolutely. And that's kind of where I'm coming from. And Victor Wooten, and I'm learning this stuff from Victor. So Victor is showing this super solo bass technique, this VHS I paid $45 from.
I remember those videos.
Yeah, so now I'm dating myself. But yeah, so okay, cool, there's no YouTube. I'm going to Tower Records, I'm going to buy this VHS tape, and then he's teaching me how to do this, teaching me these shell chords where it's basically kind of root, third, seventh, and that's kind of all you need to convey the chord. So then from there, I'm just trying to grab whatever I can that's around there to embellish it, so it's not just this same old boring chord. So I can easily, I got another finger here, which is really nice. So then I can throw in that ninth, I can throw in that sharp 9 very easily. I can even lay down that index finger, get that F sharp in there. So everything is kind of based on that. You got this, A minor 7 chord. So what I'm doing, I'm trying to find what sounds good to me, but also what sounds weird, and then just know what that is so you can use it at appropriate times. This chord is super dissonant, but really pretty in the right
like
context.
A minor second going on in there somewhere.
Yeah, absolutely. There's all kinds of nastiness, but it's appropriate in the right setting.
There's loads of that in bossa nova.
Sure. Oh yeah, absolutely.
Straight away, you want that sort of slightly itchy. What the hell is that?
Well, music is all that tension and release, and a lot of people have talked about. I heard someone analyzing "Somewhere Over the Rainbow," and the entire melody is constant tension and release. So you have this beautiful, and that's the whole melody. That's all it is tension and release. So if you can hear that and learn to find your own interpretation of that and convey that however you want to, then I think then you've got something. You got something worth listening to.
Absolutely right. I recorded Ted Ludwig doing a version of that on Linda Manza guitar.
Oh, cool. Oh, God. That's got to be good.
I might stick it in this video.
Yeah, you should. Ted
right
is
here.
phenomenal. Ted should be in every video. That cat, I've had the honor of playing with him a couple different times. I have a version of Cantaloupe Island with him that's just really neat. And sometimes when you're playing with these cats, you have to remember that you're also playing. And not just like, oh wow, what the heck are you doing? I mean, you have to kind of keep in with yourself, and then realize, okay, well, I can't play as fast as Ted can, and I can't do all that stuff. So what can I do, and what can I contribute, and try and fit in there? And there's always a way, especially with people like that who have these big ears, and then they're listening and they're reacting, and then it's easy.
Big ears in the jazz world is a compliment.
yes, gotta have that indeed.
Should point that out.
It's a good point. Yeah, you got big ears, man. Yeah, that's a good thing. I was watching Fareed Haq at the Fretboard Summit.
Player, man.
Oh, he's in all kinds, classical guitar and fusion and straight ahead bebop and all that kind of stuff. And he was basically giving a clinic on how to play with singers and doing all these amazing intros and really giving him that lead note and like. Basically, to where he's giving this amazingly large, soft bed for them to land on. So and that's just polite and good for everybody. So yeah, got to think about it.
Jazz is all about good manners.
Yes, most of the time.
So it's going to be a very busy day. Nate is only here for 24 hours, sadly, and I'm about to jump in the car with him and drive to the Turnstone Guitars workshop, where he's going to play a session on the new Turnstone Select Series TG model. Very exciting.
Yeah, those are cool.
So we're going to love you and leave you. Nate Lopez, it's been a pleasure. Thank you for coming to hang out, man.
Thank you, Michael. It's a pleasure to get a chance to see you again and be around this countryside. It's very inspiring, and this is always a pleasure to hang out.
I look forward to the next time.
Yeah,
I'll see you in the next one. Until then, stay tuned.